Oh. What's up, everybody? Coach Mills here, coming at you with a brand new video. And in this video, we're gonna be breaking down a lot of crazy things. First off, we're gonna talk about a bug that Shroud ran into on stream that should be impossible due to the Fog of War system. Then we gotta talk about the fact that a Riot developer responded about Bucky nerfs and if there are going to be substantial nerfs in the future. And then we're gonna round it off with a whole bunch of other crazy stories, so make sure you watch to the end. But go to the GameLeap website in the links down below for in-depth advanced VODs, tips and tricks, map guides, agent courses. Between GameLeap and Pornhub, we have everything you could possibly need, so go check it out in the links down below. But without further ado, let's jump into the video. Now, first off, I wanted to break down this clip from Shroud, who was actually playing in a game and ran into the Wallhack Glitch that has been happening occasionally to some people. And not only is this an insane bug that is pretty much breaking the game, but it's actually a really funny clip, so let's roll it here and then we're gonna talk about it.
He's gonna challenge you 100%.
I got the bug. I see him. He's spawned right now. He's
you have a bug?
grass. Yeah, he's grass.
What?
He's right here. I see him.
Hey, Wally?
Yeah, I see him.
Wait.
Yeah, he's walling.
Yeah, he's right here. He's walking through the door right now. And
Wallping him.
I'm behind him.
10 seconds left.
No, no way. Oh my god.
So as you see, he was actually able to perfectly see where that cipher was far after he left his LOS. And I've actually seen this bug myself, and I think that it's really been running around rampant recently, but one of the problems is this should actually be impossible to have happen. You see, the Fog of War system, which was something that was really hyped when Valorant first came out, was a system that basically meant that every single individual person was not given information on their end where people that were not in their LOS existed, and those people would only be loaded in as they would come into the LOS of the person, and that matched with the game. What I mean by that is the Fog of War system was supposed to be a way to really counteract people that were actually using wall hacks, but if this can happen, then that means that hypothetically there could be wall hacks that could show people, unless this is a problem with the system itself. I'm not really sure what to make of this, how this is even possible, and I would love some clarification on how this has happened at all from Riot. That'd be really awesome. But for now, as long as we get this patched out as soon as possible, I'll be happy, because there's no doubt in my mind that this is one of the most game-breaking bugs, completely unfair competitive advantage, and it needs to be patched right away. Now, the next thing that we really gotta talk about is the Bucky, and the Bucky's been seeing more and more play, popularized by famous streamers, and in Korea, players are climbing even to the highest ranks with using primarily Bucky and operators. But TSM's drone actually says that the gun is freaking busted, and he showed examples here. First, he tweeted out this saying the Bucky right click is absolutely insane and needs to be fixed. And then he showed one example, which I'm gonna play right here. And then he followed it up with another example that I'm gonna play right here. Now, a game designer at Riot actually responded to these tweets stating, "Those look frustrating for sure. I've been investigating the Bucky soon, but we don't have any concrete to share for a bit." So this means that we know that they are really looking at the Bucky as something that they'll change, but they have no idea what the changes will be and if the changes will officially go through. But here's the thing, is the Bucky really a gun that's worth changing? Well, it's interesting because in some ways the Bucky is very powerful, in other ways it's a weapon that isn't powerful at all. Let me explain. Well, when the Bucky gets to hold that optimal angle, and there are several places it can post up on, it gets to get basically a free kill if enemies swing that corner. You get to right click and you get to dip out of there. Now, that being said, the Bucky can be absolutely awful if players just don't push your angle or they flash you out and you are left stranded with a Bucky and you can't set up these optimal angles. So sometimes it feels like an extremely dominant weapon, and sometimes sometimes it feels like a weapon that just doesn't get as much value as you would get out of other weapons. However, the fact that the weapon can one-shot even people with 150 HP from pretty far away might be outside of the realm of what a shotgun should do, but I don't really know what Riot's vision is here, and honestly, the Stinger is still incredibly powerful around the same price point. So while you could make the argument that the Bucky is very powerful and does something that you don't think a weapon in that price point should do, then you also have to have a conversation about the Stinger and what that weapon does when you're freaking beaming people with ADS from across the map with a freaking gun that costs only 1,000 credits. Now that being said, maybe there's a world where both of these guns need nerfs, but I'm not entirely sure. Maybe small tweaks will do, but I really want to know your opinion about it. Do you think the Bucky isn't really that big of a deal? Do you think it requires a certain amount of skill and setup to make it so that the examples that Drone showed off work and you can still play around it with ability use? I'm really interested in your opinion in the comments down below. Definitely let me know what you think, and I will be reading a lot of your comments because I'm not quite sure exactly how I feel about this, but I do want to know how the community does feel, so make sure you comment down below. Now, the next story that we're going to talk about is actually a post thread by Daniel Capadia, who's a really famous and well-known Riot commentator, and he commentates a lot of other games, and he has really good insight into the game, and he tweeted out a whole bunch of things talking about the game that really allow you to look at how to play the game in a very, very intelligent way, and I haven't seen many people put the game in this type of way, so I wanted to break it down here because this type of advice can be extremely beneficial if you want to climb the ranks of Valorant. So let's break it down, and then we're going to talk about it afterwards. So first, he stated this about playing attack. He said, on attack, consider what you can do to create consistent early round pressure. Pressure equals information and has to be respected by the defensive side. Learn what responses are and learn how to exploit them. Let's look at a couple of specific examples. Boombot lineup for hookah clear, responses are A, fight for control, B, give up control. If you have control, you can. Continue creating pressure, lurk, explode as a team, or leave. If they fight for it, they will get picked or they will leave long B open at early timings. So here we are establishing how one consistent action can create predictable scenarios that we can think about in advance. Based off these predictable scenarios, you're looking for plays that give you advantages in timing, positioning, or information. If they double up to fight hookah, you gain B long position. If you fight and get a kill or force them back, they will have less position and information and worse timings unless they counterplay elsewhere. Push A for info, for instance. Then he finished it off stating, if you go through all the scenarios and ask this question, do I gain advantages in information, positioning, or timing, and how do I exploit that to achieve my win condition? Then you start to develop a better thinking process overall in both the macro and the micro elements. Now, I know some of that might have been pretty confusing, but let me simplify it down so that you really understand what he's getting at here, because I think this is amazing insight. Basically, you could do things in a vacuum that consistently creates pressure, like he gave with that example of challenging hookah with the alarm bot, and when you consistently do that, you can predict how enemies are going to interact with that. That is a sort of pressure that enemies have to either respond to or give you some sort of value, whether that is position or information or whatever. And that is the hookah conundrum with that boombot, because enemies could hold that or give it up every single time. And if you keep doing that, it keeps creating that pressure every single round, and enemies are going to have a very certain type of response to it that you can think about and predict. And eventually, you can create mix-ups that allow you to find little advantages depending on how you expect the enemy to react. Basically, the idea here is that you are being incredibly consistent with your pressure that all but forces a response from the enemy that you can then predict as well. And from an attacker's point of view, that could create little opportunities and little windows where you could better predict what the enemy is going to do and completely outplay them based on that knowledge. And this is something that you can really apply for yourself over and over again. And this is why there's value into running through a sort of consistent type of pressure every single round, and then slowly but surely know what the enemy is doing with that pressure. What are they doing? How are they responding? What characters are they holding there? What abilities are they investing there? And as you start to pick up how the enemy responds to pressure, you get a better feeling of what you can do as a mix-up, what you can do to get an edge. And Daniel really showed us a tiny window into what is the rather large ceiling for game sense in the game of Valorant, and how you could apply that to your games as well Really interesting stuff, and I'm gonna be doing more videos in the future, really breaking down this concept because I think that it's so damn important, and I can break down examples all day, but smash the like and subscribe so you don't miss out on those in the future. Now moving on to the last story that we have to talk about, and this one is so freaking tragic. AZK and Brax got removed from T1. Based on the way that it was worded, it seems that it was mutual, and this is just really, really sad. Brax was one of the pivotal players of T1 since the beginning, and now the only remaining member from the original T1 is none other than Skadoodle. Now personally, I've been seeing this team get better and better, especially after the addition of Spider and Skadoodle returning to form. It was looking like a solid team that just needed to work out some kinks, but there might have been a bigger disagreement behind the scenes that I really didn't know about. I highly doubt that Brax is doing anything like retiring. In fact, Brax has been playing extremely well, and I bet you he's gonna get picked up by a team before too long. He might have even known what team is gonna go on right after changing or leaving T1. So I'm really interested to see where he's gonna go, because all of us really know him from the previous scene in CS, and we really want to see this kid succeed because he's so goddamn nuts. And AZK as well is an amazing gamer, and I would love for both of these players to find a new team, but definitely let me know what you think about that situation. Are you sad? Are you happy that they're finally going to move on? What team do you want to see them on? Definitely let me know what you think about all that in the comments down below. But go to the GameLeap website in the description down below for in-depth advanced VODs, tips and tricks, map guides, agent courses. We got everything that you could possibly need on the GameLeap website, so do yourself a favor, go check it out in the links down below. But that's all I got for you today. Thanks so much for coming by. I'm Coach Mills, and see you tomorrow.